To help us decipher all the theatrics on the Hill today, we now turn to our ever-trustworthy chief political analyst, David Brody. David, actually, I was about to step on you.
No, we wanted to talk about just the coverage, the media coverage of this Michael Cohen. You know, I mean, all three networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, and of course the cable networks, they ran with it. At the same time, President Trump's over in Vietnam meeting with Kim Jong-un, and it pales in comparison in the coverage that it's getting. Is this unprecedented?
Well, let's start with this. Remember, the networks broke in for the James Comey hearing almost a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. So it's not unprecedented when it comes to Donald Trump. But we know when Hillary Clinton was doing the Benghazi hearings, they didn't break in for that. And we have to go back to Iran-Contra and before that, the Watergate hearings to really kind of get that big break-in network coverage. So it's unprecedented overall, but when it comes to Donald Trump, boy, James Comey, Michael Cohen, shockingly, the networks go in for those two guys. I mean, I'm saying that rhetorically and kind of a bit sarcastically because, yeah, it was kind of not strange to see.
Well, I was chomping at the bit. Now I can ask you, Republicans today attacked Michael Cohen's credibility right outside the gate, which even some legal analysts say is a challenge for him, and it's a huge problem that undermines his credibility. So how much of this testimony should Americans believe?
Well, I think that's the big question. You know, he's a convicted liar. Don't ask me. Just talk to the courts and the federal attorneys and all of that. He is a convicted liar in front of Congress. So Americans are going to have to decide what's true and what's not. Now, the Democrats are going to say, well, most of this is true, except for maybe the part where he talked about collusion and that there's no collusion with Russia. So it just depends. Look, this reminds me of the boy who cried wolf, you know, the children's fairy tale, where the boy that cried wolf basically kept lying and lying and lying, and then finally says, no, really, I'm telling the truth, and no one believes him because, you know, he doesn't have that credibility. So, you know, I think the credibility is obviously a major problem for Michael Cohen. He was even caught in a lie today. He said that he never wanted to join the White House and be the chief of staff or any of that, but it turns out that's not true at all. I mean, there are sources after source saying he wanted that chief of staff job. As a matter of fact, CNN was fact-checking him, and if CNN is calling you out on lies, you're not having a good day.
Yeah, Jim Jordan going after him hard on that one. David, Cohen, he called Trump a racist, a con man, and a cheat, bringing copies of these apparent checks that he claims were repayment for paying off porn star Stormy Daniels. How much of a problem is this whole issue for the White House and President Trump?
Well, I think there's two issues. For the president personally, it's embarrassing. At the same time, we've known this before. The Stormy Daniels stuff, the checks. I don't think we've known too much about those checks written when he was president of the United States. I think there were about 11 of them that we heard about today. But look, that's more of a personal nature. Maybe it's legal. We'll have to wait and find out. But there is a yawn factor to some of this, I mean, to a degree, because we know President Trump, this just in, is not a Boy Scout. We know this. Voters voted for him anyhow, regardless of all of this. And when Michael Cohen says that Donald Trump's a racist and a con man and a cheat, he's basically indicting all the people that voted for Donald Trump, basically saying, you know what, you are all played for suckers, excuse the expression, but that's what they say in the streets of New York at least, and I'm not sure voters are going to buy that. I think voters are proud of their vote, and they're not going to put up with Michael Cohen saying that.
David, we have less than a minute left, but I have to ask you, you know Michael Cohen professionally from your time reporting with him. How much different was this Michael Cohen who took the stand today from the brass knuckles Michael Cohen of years past?
Well, he was more humble, but you could see a little bit of the feistiness that he wanted to get out. He was trying to control himself. He's brass knuckles. He is the fixer. I've known him for 8 years, probably dozens and dozens of emails throughout those times. I want to read you one that he sent me. This was a quote about Donald Trump when I was asking him about his character, and this is what he said, quote, "I believe that Donald Trump might possibly be mentally and emotionally the strongest human being I've ever met. The level of hatred by detractors, media pundits, and others would totally overwhelm and cripple others, not him. His convictions are so steadfast and purposeful that he dismisses the negativity so that he can create positive results for all Americans and deliver on his mantra to make America great again." And so, look, this is Michael Cohen in an email to me on August 28, 2000.
It's a ringing endorsement.
Yeah, and 2017. This was not 8 years ago. This was just recently, and now he's singing a different tune because he's going to prison, and that's part of it.
And we have to leave it right there. Chief Political Analyst David Brody, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.